Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at johnnydellsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. Welcome into a lovely November Friday, getting ready for Thanksgiving. I know Johnny's getting excited because he is a foodie. I'm sure he'll go on a tangent later on in this very episode. But we are excited for Monday Night Football. It's fun and exciting because everyone grew up as Niner fans watching Monday Night Football because, as we know, they put the good teams on Monday Night Football. So we all have crazy memories of Monday Night Football. But it's always so frustrating when I'm ready to sit down on a Sunday and watch football and my team is nowhere to be found. But I think we're going to get into why we should have a Victory Tuesday. Johnny, how's it going? Happy Friday.
I mean, yeah, there's like when I see 49ers on Monday Night Football, I start thinking about, like, as a kid watching Steve Young and Jerry Rice on Monday Night Football, the classic Monday Night Football theme, everything. As I've gotten older now, I'm not as much of a fan of Monday Night Football because it just gets so late, and especially now that I am, like, when I was on the West Coast, it was fine. Things didn't get too late, but now that I'm older, it starts to get real late at night by the time the game's over, and then it pushes the film reviews on for a couple days, and so yeah, it's just like I don't enjoy Monday Night Football as much as I used to, as far as 49ers being on Monday Night Football, and I feel like I'm waiting around all day Sunday of, like, my team doesn't play today. And then when the game doesn't start till 7:20 my time, it's like it takes forever to get there.
Boo-hoo. I'm Eastern. Boo-hoo.
Well, that's an Indiana problem. They need to figure out why they belong in the
halfway
Eastern
down the
time
middle.
zone.
They're
I don't know.
Yeah. Half of my
Anyways,
state is on your time. Half of my state is on New York time. Make it make
yeah,
sense.
yeah. But yeah, I'm excited for this matchup because this is the first. There's two things here. One, the 49ers have an opportunity to win back-to-back games for the first time since September, 2 months ago. So that is a big deal. Two, you get to beat a team with a winning record, and you do that, and really, this is the only game when you look at the next 3 games that are kind of like maybe, because the Panthers are the only ones with a winning record, and it's not really close. So you win this game and you feel like 10-4 is all but guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm excited. Carolina, we're gonna get into it. They're a lot better than obviously they're better than last year. They, like we said, they have a winning record that's very obvious, but we're gonna break down why they actually are 6-5. I want to get into what you talked about a little bit is their schedule. So I have here the Carolina Panthers schedule. And so when you look at it, first of all, their division, other than the, well, I mean, the Falcons have been so up and down, but I was going to say, other than the Bucks, there isn't really, the Saints do not offer much resistance,
Well, I
as
mean,
they
you look
say.
if when you look at their schedule, you see this is a team that, preseason, it was looking like the 49ers were going to have the easiest schedule in the NFL. I think the way it's actually shaked out, the 49ers are around upper bottom third of easiest schedule because
Yeah.
some teams that were kind of slated based on their record in 2024 have been better than what they were. The Bears being one of those teams. Uh, that's how the schedule kind of shakes out. The Colts being another one. Those are teams that when you look at their record last year compared to what they are this year, that is a big swing in what the teams actually were. The Jaguars were doing better, and then they've kind of fallen off a little bit as the season has gone. But they beat us, so kudos to them. When you look at the Panther schedule, though, this is like the who's who of bad football teams that
Oh
they've
my
played,
gosh.
because you look at who they've beat and then who they've lost to, and they are
Sense.
they will sometimes strongly beat, or even sometimes barely beat the really bad teams, and then they get blown out by good
Yeah.
teams. Like,
Yeah.
that's what the Panthers are here. So, we can just look through their schedule and lay this out for everybody. So, week 1, they played the Jaguars and they lost 26-10. So that's a good team. They get blown out. Then they go play the Cardinals, which we've seen how bad the Cardinals have, ended up becoming. We swept them this year. They lost to the Cardinals 27-22. Then they went and played the Falcons. The Falcons were an up and down team. We've kind of figured out through the year that the Falcons are not a good football team.
Yeah.
Not.
And what was that score? Johnny?
It was 30-0.
What? That is wild in the NFL, dude. That is so wild.
Then they go and play the Patriots, and we found out the Patriots are a really good team. And that game was 42-13. They got blown out by the Patriots. Then they go play the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are an absolute dumpster fire of a team. They've traded off a couple guys. Like, they're a mess. They've been a mess. They beat the Dolphins 27-24. They barely beat the Dolphins. Then they go and play the Cowboys, and this was the Cowboys pre all of their trades. The Cowboys were a hot mess. Have been a hot mess. I'm still not a believer in the Cowboys, even with the trades they made. They barely beat the Cowboys 30-27. Then they go play the Jets. So this is where, like, a lot of their wins start stacking up. They go play the Jets, which are the worst team in the NFL. And I watched some of this game, and it was literally like, who is going to win the competition of who can lose the game. And the Panthers beat the Jets 13-6. Okay, so then they go play the Bills, and they get absolutely dog walked by the Bills, 40-9. So you're seeing this. When they play a good team, they get absolutely destroyed. They were even struggling staying in the games with bad teams. Okay, then they go play the Packers, and the Packers have been as bipolar as any team in the league. This is why you can't take them seriously, because they should be beating the Panthers 40-9, and they lost to the Panthers 16-13 with Jordan Love kind of literally throwing that game away. So they have that. Then they go play the Saints. The Saints, as bad as the Saints are, they lose to the Saints 17-7. And then last week they played the Falcons, and they beat the Falcons 30-27. Again, a Falcons team that is a mess. So Kirk Cousins is actually the least accurate deep ball thrower in the NFL right now by absolute metrics. He, as far as like catchable percentage of passes past 20 over 20 yards, he is last in the league, and it's not even close. Kirk Cousins, I don't know what's happened to Kirk Cousins. Dude is just shot. So I think that might be Shanahan's next QB reclamation project. But I don't. I'm not 100% sold on that. I think that a lot of people are just kind of looking at that because of Kyle's relationship with Kirk Cousins. I think what they want to do is they want to go get a guy that they can then flip for capital the next year, like they've done with some of these guys, or that if they let them go, that guy nets them a comp pick, sort of a thing. But looking at the Panthers team, they're 6-5, but they're 5-1 in close games, and those close games are almost all against bad teams. The only not bad team that was a close game win was the Packers, and so it just I think the real litmus test of who this team is their game against the Patriots, their game against the Bills, and their game against the Jaguars. Those games are very, I think, illuminating to who they are, which is they're not a very talented team that a good team should absolutely roll them. They are a team that has blown out a couple bad teams and then been extremely close and competitive with some bad teams. I just don't see, like, there's no win on that schedule that makes me go, they are a team that you should be really worried about. That this is a team that the 49ers better bring their A game here. The biggest thing is you can't have this be a letdown game. I don't think it will be, simply because, one, it's Monday Night Football and players tend to get really ramped up. They don't want to be embarrassed at home on the national stage in front of everybody. Two, this is a team with a 6-5 record, and that will make you say, okay, we can't take these guys lightly. We have to actually, really lock in for this game, because they have been able to beat teams and get wins, and those aren't easy in the NFL. But as far as just how they shake out, I'm not a believer in this team at all. They may come out of the NFC South, because the Bucks have been and they're kind of in it in the NFC South. They may come out of the NFC South, but only because they played a lot of really bad teams.
Yeah. This, I don't think, will be a letdown game because the juice of not our player juice, but the juice of Monday Night Football in San Francisco. I mean, I was at a Monday Night Football game just last year, the opening game, and oh my gosh, it's just a different kind of electricity when the stars come out for Monday Night Football, the extra reporters, the ESPN, whoever's there, NFL Network, this guy, that guy. It was just awesome to see. And so to know that that's going to be going down, and just, I do not think it's going to be a letdown. But what is something that the Panthers do
Well, let's get to the
on?
super chat.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So the first.
Don't grab it too loud.
Right down. So, which, let's see, because we had a couple.
Yeah, so I've got the first one up here. This is Cayman's Island coming in with the super chat. We very much appreciate the super chat, Mr. Cayman. Go check out his podcast. I say it every time because he's a faithful supporter. Be a faithful supporter of his show as well. I check it out. I like it every time his comes up. I have the notification set on for his podcast, so that's going to be where it is. Brock has done really well under the bright lights. Have you seen this before from a QB drafted so low? Who would you compare him to? We have seen quarterbacks that have been drafted in the late rounds, 5 through 7, perform very well on the biggest stage. I think the number one name that comes to mind in that instance would be one Tom Brady. I think he shined very well in the biggest moments of the game when most eyes were on him, winning 7 Super Bowls, and he was famously drafted in the 6th round of the NFL draft there in well, it was after the 99 season. It was in 2000. So there, Brock's got a ways to go before he's comparative to Tom. He's on his way though, as far as the ability to understand the game, the film study, translating that to the field. What Brock showed in that game against the Cardinals was really high caliber, above the shoulders quarterback play, and I broke a lot of that down one yesterday with Rob, and then on my review video, so you can always go and check that out. But we will. Sorry, the super chat that just came in just distracted me for a second, but we'll get to that one in a second. Quarterbacks that have this my ADHD brain, it starts kicking in and it totally derails me from my train of thought. Sometimes I have to ignore the chat. Other quarterbacks that have played really well under these situations, I really think back to Matt Hasselbeck with the Seahawks. I think Matt Hasselbeck is one of those quarterback names that kind of gets forgotten in the history of quarterback play, but Matt Hasselbeck had an incredible run there with the Seahawks in the early mid 2000s. We were a team that Matt Hasselbeck was consistently beating all the time. Of course, everybody was beating us during those eras, but Hasselbeck goes to a Super Bowl, takes his team to a Super Bowl. They lose to the Steelers. But Hasselbeck was a 4,000-yard passer at a time when being a 4,000-yard passer was not nearly as common as it even is today. Exactly. And was a high touchdown to interception ratio, was a West Coast system quarterback there with Mike Holmgren. And Matt Hasselbeck was a 6th-round pick and in 1998. And so I do think of somebody like Matt Hasselbeck that I think that kind of plays into who brought closely to Brock Purdy, somebody that coming out of college wasn't seen as having a lot of elite physical traits and sometimes as somebody who forced the ball, and then he gets into this West Coast system. He becomes this point guard to be able to distribute the ball and play really efficiently, plays with a strong running game there with Sean Alexander, and plays really well in a lot of the game's biggest moments. So yeah, it was, that's why I kind of see where Brock Purdy's career is at this point. Is very Matt Hasselbecky. So I think that would be my biggest comparison. Cool Football says Brady was a 5th rounder, wasn't he? No, he was the 6th rounder, the 199th pick in the NFL draft that year. Drafted in the 6th round. He was passed over by every single team at least 5 times, many teams 6 times, but the Patriots did not pass him over for a 6th time. But yeah. So Brady or Montana was a 3rd round pick. We went over that. I think it was it was the year before last year when we did the grading the 49ers best draft picks, like in different rounds. And in round 3, it was Montana by a mile, because Montana was picked in the 3rd round of that draft.
Now,
right, moving on, Mr. G.
Yes. Now, look, I have a volume set. Now, I'm going to test this out, Johnny. You tell me.
Well, it never comes across as loud on my end as it does for their end. So that's where the chat can help us out. Give us
all right, on that one. How about on that one? I'm curious.
And so Mike Rudd says, I vote for no more horn use.
Yeah, and then there's a horn. There's a horn vote from Cayman Islands though that cancels that out.
Look, I'm just saying it is controversial.
It is.
The horn is controversial for the chat.
We've only been doing it for 2 years.
Filthy Casual says, sounds sad. She's like this little one. Well, what we need is probably the golf clap. If we can find a golf clap in there.
Yeah, and
yeah, like and that is where I guess PlayStream. I use Restream. PlayStream is a little bit easier because PlayStream like has all these different sound effects that you can add in that are just built in. Like I have to upload some. Like the ones that they add in Restream are terrible. I mean, it's literally like different nature. It has like nature sounds, atmosphere. That's
terrible. That's
what I'm saying. They're terrible.
Ooh, Mike like, Rudd.
I mean, does anybody want that for a super chat? I don't think so.
That again.
The foghorn. What we need to do is I need to find.
That's awesome. Record that audio.
And get it in there for the super chat.
Cayman's
Island coming in. Tim Rattay. Okay.
We're okay with Tim Rattay. I remember saying
I remember that. And I remember Tim Rattay creating a quarterback controversy with Terrell Owens and Jeff Garcia on a Monday Night Football game because he came out, he started through, I think, 2 touchdown passes to Terrell Owens. Wasn't one of them the Sharpie? I thought one of them. I
Wow,
thought that was
was
Tim
that?
Rattay.
I
I
don't
thought
know,
that was
man.
Tim Rattay
That's a good
that was
trivia.
throwing it.
Who was the quarterback that threw the pass to Terrell Owens when he busted out the Sharpie?
The
What a
Sharpie. I mean, it
trivia.
was
The
on Monday
chat is
Night
gonna come
Football.
through. The chat is going
Uh,
to come through. I know.
well, I'm gonna look
But
it up real
that's
quick. I got this up. It was 2002, week 6. It was against the Seahawks. Oh no, that was Garcia. Okay.
okay.
So I
Alright.
mean it was so grainy. Oh gosh, it was pre HD days.
Gosh.
But I do remember Tim Rattay coming in and playing on a Monday Night Football. I think that was that later in the year or something, and he ended up throwing a couple touchdown passes to Terrell Owens, and Terrell Owens was like, "Well, Tim drives the ball down the field a little bit better than Jeff Garcia," and then it started that whole Terrell Owens is a cancer on the team. He's a sickness on the team. And then Terrell Owens wore
Beginning
a
of the
medical
end.
mask over his helmet that was supposed to be like um, calm the thing down. And in the wake of it, then T.O. gets traded in the offseason for a bag of peanuts to the Philadelphia Eagles for a 5th round pick and then a defensive end who barely played the next year. Gosh, that was a terrible trade.
Speaking of terrible, look at what the Houston Texans got last night from
Oh
that
my
trade
goodness.
from the trade of Deshaun Watson. You look at like Tank Dell, Will Anderson. I mean, they just keep coming. Like, holy cow, talk about bad trade. Just
Talk
wild.
about why the Browns are in the situation they're in.
They're the
I
browniest.
mean,
They're the Charlie Browniest
the Browns are the browniest brown team
that
that
could
has
brown,
ever been out there. I mean,
that have
you
ever
want to
browned.
flush that brown down the toilet. Like they are just like the Browns have consistently found a way
They have
to
derailed.
to set their franchise back. And that's why I have no sympathy here when people are talking about like Myles Garrett. We're going to go play them after the Panthers, and Myles Garrett has been this is one of the most dominant seasons we've ever seen from a defensive end ever. Myles Garrett might be the best defensive end edge player that has ever played in the NFL. I mean, like the things that you watch him do, these are like the things that on the highlights you remember seeing Reggie White do. And I mean, just getting out there and tossing tackles.
Yeah.
You can't run at him. You can't run away from him. You can't
Ball.
double team him. You can't have him have a short drop. He can't have a deep drop. This guy will just get to the quarterback. He blows everything up. And seeing like having that, and then you've watched the mistakes that this franchise has made since they have drafted you in the trade for Deshaun Watson. I remember when that was coming up that people were talking about that Kyle Shanahan really needed to be serious and go make a trade for Deshaun Watson. I want anybody who said that on Niners social media, pull out your own receipts, because that was the worst, one of the worst trades in the NFL ever. That has systemically set this team back because they traded for a quarterback and had to give him a fully guaranteed $220 million contract, and has, when he's played in there, he's played like cheeks. When he's not in there, he's been hurt, and his giant cap figure has completely dragged the team down. And they drafted 2 quarterbacks this last year to try and plug that hole. And Myles Garrett is there having one of the most dominant defensive end performances we've ever seen in the NFL, and is completely overshadowed because the team is trash. And he and people are out there like, oh man, poor Myles Garrett. Somebody get him on a team that can win. And you go, he had a chance to go get on a team that can win. He was a free agent this year. And you know what he did? He signed the contract and he put himself back on the Browns. I have no sympathy for you because they offered you $44 million a year, and you signed the dang contract. If you were serious about going to an organization that you could win with, then you shouldn't have signed with the Browns, because you will never win anything with the Browns. But you made a whole lot of money. Don't tell me winning is important for you. Don't tell me that. I am over the Myles Garrett sympathy train because that was, I mean, that was a terrible decision by him if winning actually meant something to him. And it didn't. They have mishandled. They traded away Joe Flacco, who might have been able to win them some games, to a team in the division. Now, I mean, you could either look at it as terrible or this was like 4D chess, because they traded Joe Flacco away to a team in their division. Well, here's the thing. They knew they were going to be so bad that they were going to get a high draft pick, and so they traded away Joe Flacco to a team in the division that would then win a couple more games and have a worse draft slot themselves the next year. That's the only way you can look at this and say that it was 4D chess, is that I'm going to actually help out my divisional opponent this year so they have a worse draft slot. But I don't know. Anyways, we're not talking Browns,
Cornelius,
49ers, Panthers. Oh my goodness.
Cornelius though did chime in and say and let Baker Mayfield go.
And they let Baker Mayfield go.
Yeah, like what are they doing?
There's a reason why Kyle Shanahan got his rear end out of Cleveland as fast as he could.
Yeah. So speaking of getting out, another super chat from Mike Rudd. How do we keep Saleh multiple years? Co-head coach, obnoxious amount of money. Here's one thing that I want to say, Johnny. I think it depends on if Robert Saleh has that joy, which we see on the sideline that left him in New York. Does he enjoy?
He looked so sad in New York all the time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So does he really enjoy being a defensive coordinator? There are some guys, I think Josh McDaniels truly enjoys being a coordinator. I think
he's tried the head coach thing twice. What it is that he cannot run a whole staff, and he doesn't understand the dynamics of running a team within the players. Like,
and that's fine. Run the offense, call the plays, be great at it. But what I'm saying is, does the enjoyment factor, does he truly enjoy running the defense and just rallying around that, or does he want to run a whole team again after what happened in New York? What do you think then? Because that's what I think it comes down to.
Yeah, a number of different reports that come out that basically said, Robert Saleh has every intention to be a head coach again because he wants to prove. I mean, kind of think of why is Aaron Rodgers still playing in the NFL right now? He's trying to erase the legacy of what was his time in New York, because that was a bad legacy. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you do not want that to be the way that your career ends. Think about to Brett Favre. He went to New York, and it was a bad Brett Favre experience. And then he goes back to Minnesota, and they go to the playoffs. I mean, I remember that game was, what was that, 2009? Where it was 2009 or 2010 when we went down to the wire against the Vikings in Minnesota, and Brett Favre'd us at the end with a ridiculous touchdown throw, and I think it was against Mark Roman, the safety, and it was, and I think they asked Takeo Spikes, like, what did Mike Singletary's tell the team after that loss, and he was like, we're gonna see those guys again in the playoffs, and everyone's like, yeah, and then we missed the playoffs. But Favre he didn't want his legacy to go out as what it had finished with the Jets, and that's just kind of what you see with everybody. Sam Darnold failed there with the Jets, and now he's had a great year last year with Minnesota. He's having a great year here with Seattle. The New York Jets, Woody Johnson, it's like the Browns 2.0. Like, that is another franchise that does not understand how to run a team. He's never understood how to do that. And so, like, people want to get out of New York and then try and rebuild their legacy, because they look back at the time and they say, I can do way better than that. I can show everybody I can be way better than that, because nobody has success there. So the understanding is that Robert Saleh wants to have that sort of career arc. He wants to get out of New York. He wanted to get out of New York and was thankful almost to get out of there, and then turn around and say, but I'm going to go somewhere and prove to everybody, prove that it was not me. It was that dysfunctional front office that nobody's ever going to be successful there, because he was done so wrong there at New York. So I think that's what he wants to do. The question comes in of what opportunity does he have this year, or does he have upcoming at the end of this year
Well,
that
the
gives him the
Titans.
best chance to do that? The Titans, we don't know exactly, what's going to be going on with the Titans situation. If I'm him, I don't want to go to the Titans. I just don't. They're a similar team. I mean, just look at what they did with Mike Vrabel. And now what Mike Vrabel's doing in New
Yeah.
England.
Yeah.
If I'm Saleh, I'm saying I want to go into the situation that Vrabel went into now, not the one that he left.
Yeah.
Because that seems a lot better.
Man,
So
I wonder about Pittsburgh. Tomlin's not going to be there forever. He's already been there forever.
right, but Pittsburgh. I mean, you want to talk about longevity from head coaches? They've had what, like 3 head coaches in the last 70 years.
Right. But Salah's young.
Right, but I mean, Mike
He'll do
Tomlin
it for a
shows
while.
no signs of walking away, and I don't think Pittsburgh. There's no signs that he's on the hot seat. That's not how they operate. They get a coach and they stick with the coach, and they say we're going to build the best teams around with these coaches, and that's what we're going to do. So, um, like if I'm just kind of looking around the league, Miami is a situation I don't think you want to walk into. Just look at what happened there with Brian Flores and Mike McDaniel. Literally looks like he's about to die in that situation. That coaching situation is just sucking the life out of him. If he's even let go, he may be kept around. We don't know what they're even going to do.
Yeah.
This offseason. I don't know. I would be surprised if the Falcons job opens up. There's some talk about Raheem Morris, maybe with the way that this season has gone.
Yeah. So
I'm
scary.
not sold on that. I'm not sold on that they're gonna walk away from him after this year. I think, that Cardinals position may come open at the end of this. I just don't know if Bidwell actually wants to pay both Kingsbury and Gannon, because he's still paying Kingsbury, and when he would have to still pay Gannon through like the next 3 years. I don't think he wants to be paying 2 former head coaches and then pay a new, and then have to bid pretty high on Saleh, because I mean Saleh would have to be offered a lot of money to leave San Francisco in that situation to go to Arizona and that situation. So I just look at it like, I don't see that one as really a good opportunity. I mean, just kind of thinking around the league, I don't think there's going to be as many head coaching vacancies right now as maybe some other years. I don't think there's going to be, like, I think the one thing working in San Francisco's favor is that the coaching cycle this season isn't going to be as strong as what we've seen in some years past. Like, he had close connections in Jacksonville. That's why he was really hanging in there. And it was down to either Liam Cohen or him. They wanted to go offensive side of the ball, but they also really liked Robert Saleh. That was one that made sense because he had been there. He had coached there. He liked the area. He liked the front office. So, you're not going to see that kind of situation. I do hope that the 49ers can hold on to Saleh past this year. I don't think the keeping him for more money is really an option. They've already made him the highest paid defensive coordinator. There just comes a point where you can't really justify, your defensive coordinator making 90% of what your head coach does, or making more than 3/4 of the head coaches around the league. That just you can't really do that. But they've already made him the highest paid defensive coordinator. Like that kind of assistant head coach. There will never be like a co-head coach. That's just asking for trouble to have a 2-headed monster at the head coaching position, and Kyle Shanahan's firmly the head coach. But like assistant head coach, that title is given to Gus Bradley right now because they are holding on to Gus to be there and work with the staff and be the kind of like the check down, the outlet if Robert Saleh moves on, that you have Gus Bradley. So like it's a question of, I think the biggest thing in the 49ers' favor is that I don't see a really, really attractive situation for Robert Saleh. And I do think that there's some names that have a little bit more buzz behind him right now. Chris Shula, I think if you're going defensive mind, I think Chris Shula actually is going to be higher on people's list because he's young. He's been ascending. He's got that Rams defense playing really well. He's had a couple years there of good success with the Rams. This 49ers defense, they just allowed a record-breaking number of completions to Jacoby Brissett.
Right.
So, and yes, everybody knows the injuries are a big part of that, but they're all that is going to play into it a little bit. And they're going to say, well,
right.
yeah, but we have that. And where Saleh goes is not going to be a really talented team. So there are some things working in their favor. But if they can get him back in 2026 with the pieces that they should have back fully healthy by next year, and most likely adding to it in the draft, the development of these guys, young guys that are getting lots of playing time this year of, Tatum Bethune, D. Winters, Bernardo Green, Malik Mustafa, Upton Stout, Alfred Collins, CJ West, these young guys getting all the reps they're getting, I look at the core of this team, and if their development arc stays the way it should under Saleh, that you look at 2026 and that Houston defense, and they start looking like they could be very close to what that Houston defense is. Nick Bosa, Alfred Collins, Michael Williams, somebody, I don't know if it's going to be Eater with his injury history, but somebody that can fill that other NASCAR package role, and Bryce Huff. I mean, that is we saw that at the beginning of the year, that was a defensive front that could absolutely wreak havoc on offensive lines. That I don't know if they have as, their bookends are going to be as blue chip as it is. Nick Bosa is blue chip. Bryce Huff is very, very good at what he does. But when you look at that group across the board, that'd be an incredibly effective pass rushing group. And then with a back end that understands the chemistry and the ways, if you want to hear a real deep dive into that, go watch the Richard Sherman podcast that came out, I think it was 2 days ago, with Upton Stout on it. That was a phenomenal podcast. And they really got into a moment where Upton Stout was asking Richard Sherman questions about, like, how do you get here? What do you do with this? And Richard Sherman turned into like the sage uncle advice, was telling him things. And they were really diving into stuff. I loved that point. He was like, man, like, there's only like 3 different offensive systems that are running the NFL. So everybody's doing the same stuff. So once you figure that out, it's like you're going to be able to see the plays happening in front of you, and you can know, okay, I just take a step here, I'm going to bait this quarterback into a throw, and then next thing you know, the ball's in your hands. He's like, that's how I got 41 career picks. He's like, if their number one guy is number 2 at the goal line, it's going to be a bang 7. He's meaning like a fade to the corner. He's like, it's going to be that. It's going to be either that or a slant. He's like, and I'm going to bet on the fade, on the bang 7. Like, if I'm going to guess on it, I'll guess on that one. They may get me, but I might get a pick. And that happened a lot. He's like, or if they motion from outside in to a stack there at the goal line, it's going to be a double post. Like, every team, it's going to be a double post. It's going to be a double post. And I'm like, yeah, we did it. That was what we ran on Christian McCaffrey's touchdown. It was a double post. McCaffrey was the 4-3 on the play, and he just outletted it to him. But like, everybody runs that. Even Kyle runs that. Like, we motion in, and then it's double post. So that's a really, but he's talking about it, and he's like, and you can understand, like, these are the concepts you're going to get seen thrown at you. And so you can talk about this of like, I'm going to drive on this one, you drive on that, and we'll get it all. And somebody's going to come up with a pick. And that's why the Legion of Boom was so good. So, like, you see that development, Robert Saleh with this team in 2026, we should be looking at a Houston caliber defense.
So another super chat, back to the Cleveland situation. Mr. G 49er 00 says, sorry, man, I vehemently disagree. Myles Garrett is a beast for sure, but he falls short of Reggie White and Bruce Smith, 200 sacks each, plus elite run defenders. Yeah, at the end of their career, they had 200, but then there was another comment that was in response to that, the breakdown per 17 games, and Myles Garrett actually has a higher sack rate than they do, and he's not done playing yet. So I don't know. I mean, take that for what it's worth. But
I mean, so Myles Garrett's in his, let's see, he was drafted in 18, or no, he's drafted in 17, right? So, I gotta look this up real quick. I'm totally forgetting. Um, I mean, this is what happens when you get old. Yeah, he was drafted in 2017. We missed out on him, and I will never forgive Chip Kelly for this because we beat the Cardinals the last game of the year by like a point and missed out on the number 1 overall pick. And so we missed out on Myles Garrett, and I will never forgive
who
Chip
did we
Kelly for
get?
that.
Who did we get?
We ended up having the 2nd overall pick, and we traded back with, wasn't that the Jets? We traded back with with the Bears because the Bears picked Trubisky, and then we ended up,
Okay.
because they were 3rd, and then we picked Solomon Thomas.
Wow.
We can never forgive Chip Kelly for that. But Garrett's in his 9th season, and he's got 117 sacks. I mean, this is a guy that will probably end up with like 220 in his career.
Yeah.
I mean, just
So
most likely. Like he's
does
just
he
an
fall short?
absolute.
I don't see how he falls short then. What are we talking about?
Like I
I
don't
love
think.
Reggie White and Bruce Smith. How can you not love those guys? That's a
Oh,
no-brainer.
absolutely. I mean, those
But
are some of the most dominant players. I mean, they're in the Hall of Fame for a reason.
yeah, but Myles Garrett is right there. How is he not?
I mean, he is, like, just the things that he does is just wild. He's missed some time in his career. His first in 2017, he only played in 11 games, only started 9. In 2019, he only played in 10 games because he was hurt. So he missed some time. But I mean, if you look at the last 5 seasons since 2020, first team All-Pro, second team All-Pro, 5th in voting for Defensive Player of the Year. First team All-Pro, was even in the running for MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. Then first team All-Pro, 3rd in voting for Defensive Player of the Year. This year, he's having an even better year.
Yeah.
He's having the best year of his career. He's already got 15 sacks this year. He has 117 and a half total. By the end of this season, he's threatening to break the NFL sack record.
He could get
Like,
it in
he
16
really is.
games. He can get it in 16 games even too.
Right.
Good.
Like, he's 10 games into this year, and he has 15 sacks. So he's averaging 1.5 sacks a game. That puts him at a pace for like 26 sacks this year. That's wild. I mean, he is having the best season that any defensive end has ever had. The way that he plays the run, like at this stage of his career, like, some guys start to drop off at this point in their career. He is absolutely destroying everybody. His
body,
technical
dude,
proficiency is unreal. He's still got insane burst. He's got insane power. I mean, like those first 3 years, he came out and he was known as just an absolute physical freak. And that's why it took him a little bit to kind of really get going. But once he's gotten going and he has added the technical side to what he does, I mean, he is just a monster of a player. And he's the best. He's the best defensive lineman, I think, in the game right now.
Yeah, it's not close. Well, this has been our show. Thanks for no. Okay. You want to maybe talk about the Panthers?
Yeah, we'll talk about the Panthers a little bit. Hey, look, some people have written to me and they're like, Johnny, sometimes the show you go off these tangents and it's not about prepping for the team. I'm like, but sometimes it's the chat. The chat gets it in here.
Yeah,
people and I will always respect the chat. That's why if you want to be
here.
We're in the
hanging
chat.
out with the chat.
You can steer how it goes. We're all here hanging out, talking football, because in the end, this is a game that the 49ers right now are 7-point favorites.
That's like, okay, let's talk through that. That is wild.
I mean, they are. Like, you look at points per game, the Panthers average 18.8. They're 28th in the league in points per game. Like, they are not a good offense at all. So, like, I look at their offense, and the only person that really scares me is the Ted offensive. Tet McMillan. And even then, like, you have to then trust that Bryce Young is going to consistently get the ball in his hands. And if there's anything that Saleh is going to do, is he's going to try and make it so that that we don't give Bryce Young the easy reads that says Tet's going to be open or it's going to be man coverage on this play. Like, we're going to end up trying to force Bryce Young to work through progressions to get to Tet. And that's where I think we have an advantage. Their defense is not great. I mean, a guy that they brought in to be their defensive captain for this year was Christian Roseboom from the Rams. They went and got him. He's not going to play. He's out. So that's a big hit to their defense. I look at their defense and it's okay, but it is not great at all. When you look at the way that our offense matches up against their defense, the only things they do really well is they don't allow you to run in the red zone, but they allow everybody to pass in the red zone. So, I mean, when you look at their passing defense is just bad. Passing versus no play action, they're 28th in the league. Quick passing, they're 30th in the league. Passing when they don't blitz is 27th in the league. To put it in perspective, we're third as far as our offense when we pass against no blitz. This does not match up well against their defense. I mean, you look at intermediate passing, we're 7th, they're 27th. That's our offense versus their defense. Overall passing efficiency, we're 10th, there's 26th. Short passing, we're 8th, they're 22nd. Passing versus no pressure, we're 4th, they're 20th. Long passing, we're 9th, they're 21st. Passing versus the blitz, they're 26th in the NFL in passing defense when they blitz. This should be an like their defense as far as passing should not be a problem at all. Now, they are a decent run defense, but not against running inside the tackles. So running inside the tackles, they're 21st in the league. We're 10th. Where they get you is as things on the outside. So rushing outside the tackles, we're 32nd. We've been that for all year. They're 9th in the red zone. We're 31st. They're 4th. So they have a big advantage there, but that's where the passing game is really going to come in. Their biggest thing is that they're really good at defending the runs from shotgun. They're number 1 in the league. We're 24th, but that's not going to be the heavy dose of how we run. I think this game is going to be about running between the tackles from under center, and that is not what the Panthers defend is best. And when they try and take that away, you're going to have Brock Purdy in there dicing up their passing defense. And this is going to be a game I don't see them just slowing us down. I see us scoring 30 points in this game. That's why we're a 7-point favorite, is that teams are looking at this and they're saying, I don't see a pathway for the Panthers to hold the 49ers under 30 points. And I don't see a pathway for the Panthers to score more than 23 points.
Yeah.
That's why this game is shaking out the way it does.
That's fair. It's just a lot in an NFL game these days. Like, you just don't see it a ton with a team that has as many losses as we do. That's my point. You know, if we were 9-2,
we only have 4 losses. We're 7-4. We're 7th seed in the NFC. They're 6-5. So yeah, I mean, it's only one game in and out. But again, it comes down to like what we did. That's why I went through the schedule and said, you know, when they've played good teams, they get absolutely demolished. When they play bad teams, they barely win. So like this is who they are. They're not a good passing defense. They're not going to be good at stopping us from scoring. They're not going to be good at really scoring either. They're going to be able to move the ball against our defense. Our defense is wounded. It is still trying to come back together. But, you know, if you say this game is about Bryce Young beating us consistently, do they score more than 23 points? I don't think so. This is going to be a game where the 49ers should score lots of points. Their defense, as far as passing, is worse than the Cardinals was. And we just put up 5 touchdowns and 3 field goals on the Cardinals. Yeah. So, like, that's why this game is such a spread. This is I mean, you want to talk about one of the biggest spreads in the leagues so far this year, this is one of them. And plus, them having to travel across the country, play on Monday night, which will be getting close to these guys' bedtime, for where it normally is by the time the game's over. So
Yeah.
All those things play into it.
So their offense, what is the major key that you see we need to key in on?
I mean, key in on it is really going to be Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard. I mean, that's a great name. But of don't let them even get that run game going. They're gonna get passing yards. We're gonna struggle getting off the field on third down. That just happens when you are down all your pass rushers. Like and that's coming along. But don't let them. You don't have to really worry about their passing game. Is like they're not going to be as long as you play your solid defense. You're not going to be giving up these massive explosives. So yeah, they'll get some 12-yard throws. They'll get some 15-yard throws. They'll get a lot of 7- throws. Those aren't going to be what kills you. You even if they get into the red zone, you've got to force then Bryce Young to make tight window throws and really work through his progressions. You're not worried about that. You don't let them start getting run and then play action to get those even bigger chunk plays. You say, Bryce Young, if you're going to beat us, you have to play as efficiently as Jacoby Brissett did, who is like the efficiency king of the guy that just is willing to take short throws all day long and doesn't really
and has the experience. He has way more experience.
And if you look at it, when he did start, trying to push the ball downfield more, they got intercepted twice. Yeah. And so like you're going to say, okay, Bryce, you've got to be willing to just take those 6-yard throws all day long, and then be okay. And then thread the needle when you get into the red zone, or else you guys are just going to be kicking field goals. And that's not going to keep up with us against your defense. So I think that's the game plan. You say you don't let him get into play action. You don't let him get that run game going. You say, if Bryce Young's going to beat us, he's going to have to thread the ball down the field, push it down the field to get explosives. And that's where we can start really making something out of this. And I think they're gonna get at least one pick in this game.
So you mentioned field goals. I want to bring up special teams, and I want you to indulge me here. There's a few reasons, Johnny. I'm going to get into all of them. There's a few reasons why I want to get into special teams. I would ask that you check our private chat, and then
I've already got their roster pulled up. I've had it since the beginning of the show.
Okay, so if you could also go to our Google downloads, I downloaded in our Google, and bring up that picture and bring up the roster. I want to explain. First, we're going to get into special teams because, hey, we had a very nice return on special teams. We got to talk about our kicker, and I want to bring up Carolina special teams as Johnny is going to pull up something for us, a really cool story that I want to share with you guys. Yeah. So, so also want to give you a reminder, be sure to show your phone to Niner fans. Show them the Johnny Dell Football Academy channel. Head over to the website as well. Consider becoming a member. Now, this picture that you are seeing, I am in the white shirt on the right. A1 Miles Harrington is on the way left. He is a part of Sports Idiot Nation. We come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. He is a friend of the show. And there, the skinniest guy you've ever seen is Bam, right next to Miles. And he doesn't look like much there. He is a freshman. We had just won the freshman tournament. We went 4-0 that day. We cut down nets. It was an awesome day. This is Snyder High School. This is where Rod Woodson went. This is where Jesse Bates went. And this is where we played against guys like Trey Essex from the Steelers, the tight ends, Tyler Eifert from Bishop Dwenger, all these Fort Wayne guys. Jalen Smith went to Bishop Luers and his brother. So I coached Bam Martin, and now, just last week, now show the Panthers roster, Johnny, if you could. And he is number 57 on your program, number 1 in your hearts. And he caused a fumble on special teams. And there he is, my guy, the homie, Bam. and I am so proud of this dude. I actually have known him since he was in 6th grade because I also coached at the middle school next to the high school and coached him in basketball all the way from 6th grade. And Bam was the kid who, coach, I gotta get more playing time. Watch this. And he'd dribble between his legs and throw up a jumper and it would brick, but he'd be like, but see that move, coach? See me? I've been working, coach. I've been working. Just a hilarious guy, just a great, great dude. I am so proud. He wasn't drafted. He still made the team and he's making plays on special teams. And I'm telling Sky Moore right now, you better watch out because that dude is coming and he is looking to cause another fumble. I know he's going to be jacked for this game. Again, just very proud of this dude. Very cool to be able to see that. So let's get into more special teams.
I love
With
that. I love that story. That's a really cool story. I mean, when we're playing a team and you coached a kid who is on that team, he's going to be playing on Monday Night Football against the 49ers. That's awesome. I love to hear it.
Yeah, I'm again super stoked for him. He's doing well. He's buddies with Jesse Bates, and they play each other twice a year. So
Oh, Jesse Bates.
that's
Yes.
cool to
He was
see.
such a master of football.
So okay, so but special teams, uh Eddie P, baby. We have gone to Matt Gay, and we'll see what are we feeling, faithful? I don't know. I'm a bit nervous.
Honestly, like when it was who could the 49ers go out there and get, and you saw that Matt Gay was available, I was like, no, he was released. He
Yeah.
was released by the Commanders because he was missing field goals, and you know who they signed to replace
Yeah,
him?
man.
Jake Moody.
Like what is
How
what
are
like
how
we weren't gonna
like
bring him back,
like
right?
how is this cycle? Like
Plus he was in Chicago. What happened with the Bear? Can we
he
hold
was
on?
on the practice squad. He was on the practice squad.
But
So
he
remember
made a kick for the Bears. No, he kicked for the Bears.
right, because their kicker was injured. And so when their kicker came back, Moody went back to the practice squad there. And so the Commanders have signed Jake Moody off of their practice squad. Like, how does this happen that the guy that is replacing that is seen as a better option for the Commanders as a kicker was the kicker that wasn't good enough for us, and now we're bringing the guy that like this whole situation is really really weird. And it doesn't fill me with a lot of hope. They're like, well, he's a veteran, he's got a lot of experience, and I'm like, he's got a lot of experience at missing kicks. If the 49ers are trying to sign somebody to go out there and miss a kick, I will go do that for that pay. I mean, like,
talk me
if
into
that's what
it.
we're gonna do, like, I'm available. I'm a free agent. I'll even save you the cost of the agent fee. But like, I'm gonna tell Kyle, don't let it come down to your kicker.
Yeah, just
Score
text him.
5 or 6 touchdowns.
Just
Like,
text
just
him
make
that.
it that kind of a game.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
If this game comes down to Matt Gay and maybe that's why they're looking at. They're like, okay, what we need more importantly than even field goals in this game is somebody who's going to be able to be really good at kickoffs and keep them within the 30.
Yeah.
Like that may have been the deciding
Let's just
factor
get
because they're looking at
touchdowns.
the game
Let's
and
just get
saying,
touchdowns.
we're going to score enough points that as long as they don't get a big kickoff return and that we don't need the field goal kicker to win us the game. We need to help keep special teams from losing us the game, which unfortunately that's usually the approach that Kyle Shanahan has, and that has cost him over the years. But I think it really is like he's got to. They're not going to be relying on him to make a 55-yard game-winning field goal. If it is, then this game has gone horribly wrong. It's more about keep them, from getting good field position so that they have to work the ball down the field, and that happens. We should have an easy win.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to come down to the kicking game. I think we just get some tutties. I think Kittle gets in. I think CMC gets in. Very excited. Are we ready for?
I think Ricky Pearsall gets in. I really do think Ricky gets in. He was real close. He was real close against the Cardinals. They had 3 plays. One, he was open and the pressure got there early, and Brock knew it. He was irritated afterwards. We had to kick a field goal. The drive that Kittle scored his touchdown pass on, they were trying to get Ricky Pearsall a touchdown. They ran 2 plays. One was a play action. It was a corner post that they went, and the backside safety was really disciplined on that, took it away. That was a play then that we had to, that ended up going to Kittle, and Kittle, like, he ran into 3 guys and just kind of barely made the first down that set up that touchdown to Kittle. That was that play. Pearsall was the number 1 read on that play, and that's where they were trying to go, and Arizona took it away. The other one was right before the Kittle touchdown. They ran it to where they were trying to make it look to the right, and then they ran a double move on to the backside with Ricky Pearsall, and Brock turns. He sees it. They covered that well. They bracketed him, and so he throws it over his head as a throwaway. Those were 2 plays that they were trying to get to Ricky and didn't happen. So I think Ricky does get a touchdown this game. I think he's going to be really big for them.
Yeah. So,
and Adam Stone is going off like crazy on that end.
Yeah, and luckily we're at the end anyway. Own a $1 million company, they said. It'll be fun, they said. My phone is always going off. But if you are in the Northeast Indiana area and need any form of transportation, party bus, limo, black car service, I am your man. So just keep that in mind for all your Northeast Indiana, as the faithful are always around Northeast Indiana,
always.
aren't
We
they?
have, the YouTube analytics says we have a very strong support out of Northeast Indiana.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's that. All right.
They're
so
in Sandusky, Ohio.
Score predictions. You got me going on this 30-23 thing, and so I'm gonna say 31-20 is going to be my score prediction. Is that close to yours? What do you got? Let's hear it in the chat too, guys.
I see it as 31-19. I think the Panthers are going to kick a lot of field goals. I see them scoring 1 touchdown somehow and then 4 field goals. That's how I see the game going for their defense.
Okay. But yeah, we definitely see multi scores is what we'll win by. 2-score game for sure. 38-17 Farscape forever. Let's see your predictions. Cayman Islands, not much love. 27-21. Man, barn burner, close one.
37-17. I really do think that this next stretch of games, I mean, that Cleveland defense is tough with Myles Garrett, but their offense is so bad that I think we end up we kind of grind down their defense. Updates on the game day nachos. I had some phenomenal game day nachos last week. Phenomenal. So many of you know that I'm affiliated with White Oak Pastures. They have some of the best chorizo in the world. Their Iberico chorizo. You can go there. It's actually been on clearance for a while. I think they made a ton of it, and they're trying to clear it out before they harvest some more of their Iberico pork. It's a special breed of pig, comes out of Spain. It's awesome. There's only like 3 or 4 herds. They're higher in omega-9s. So what I did is I had some free range chicken thighs that I put in my Instant Pot with I did my sort of taco seasoning, not the store-bought. You can look it up, make your own. It's way better. In the Instant Pot with that. Did the Instant Pot pressure cooker, so shredded chicken in there, and I cooked up 2 of those chorizos into ground, dumped it in with the chicken thighs, and then some reduced fat cream cheese, a whole bunch of that in there, so you get that spicy, creamy, gooey loveliness, and use that as the protein on my game day nachos. Then made a taco sauce. It was a mix of sour cream, honey, cottage cheese, garlic powder, salt, pepper, chili powder, a little bit of chipotle powder, and some lime juice, and mix that in the blender for about a minute. It whips it up really, really thick and gooey. And so did the nachos, did the taco seasoning on that with the lettuce and the onions and the pepper jack cheese and all of that. Oh man, it was awesome. Came out phenomenal. Great game day nachos. I'm going to try and do it again Monday because that's where it's at.
Love to see it. I will be at Bubba 33's. They just opened this week in Fort Wayne. Bubba 33's is owned by Texas Roadhouse, if you're familiar with that franchise, that restaurant. And it's like B-Dubs meets Texas Roadhouse. Great spot locally here in Fort Wayne. We're going to do my radio show on Monday there, and then I'm just going to hang out with a guy, another owner from the business. He's a Niner fan.
Biz.
So perfect. We'll just stay and watch the game. So that's going to be fun. And then
So
Victory
our
Tuesday.
show,
Are we,
our
yeah,
show,
what's
yeah,
our,
our show, we'll go Victory Tuesday
okay.
on our show next week to get in on that because
Yep.
yeah,
you got to.
Yep.
All right. So we are excited. Kick back on Sunday and just hang out, faithful, watch the games. Colts, Chiefs, that's a good one. Maybe catch that one.
Should
But
watch
in
the
the
Chiefs
meantime,
lose. I mean,
yeah,
like the Chiefs are a sneaky 5-5 right now. In that most people think they have a winning record, they are 500 right now, and they are third in their division. So we may
yeah.
see the Chiefs miss the playoffs this year, which would be awesome. I'm ready to see a playoffs without the Chiefs.
I am ready to know more about Brian Haber. He says he's lived in Fort Wayne for 5 years. That is the most random thing I've ever heard. Fellow Niner fan, let's do it. Awesome, dude. All right. So again, thanks for hanging out, guys. This was a fun show. The chat was lit per usual, as is tradition. So stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Niners.